would like to actually raise a point of discussion before we proceed. And prior to, again, you're correct, Mr. Cramer, that prior to joining the board, you did file a Title IX complaint against the board and the district at that time, specifically related to these policies. And to my understanding, you still are part of that complaint, which you are legally able to do so. But I believe that there's a valid concern from a public perception standpoint. Wouldn't it present a potential conflict of interest given your personal stake in the outcome of these revisions? I just think it would be appropriate possibly for you to recuse yourself from discussions and votes regarding these specific policies. And, you know, I'm just gonna bring up a couple of situations that come to mind. When I was sitting board president, when that complaint was still internal and it went to the stage 3, and that policy stated that the board would have full authority to actually make that decision. We chose and we recognize the importance of perception of bias. So that's why we had decided to recommend it to actually go to the 4th level of the DPI, which is an objective arbiter. So that's what we opted to do. And so now apparently under my understanding it's still at DPI, and I'm not sure where it's at right now. But, you know, and then secondly, also too, when I was, again, still sitting as a board president in the onboarding session, I did bring up the concern that I had in regards to the perception of you know, a conflict of interest, being that now you are kind of sitting on both sides of the fence of this complaint. And I do recall we had that discussion. While we agree that legally you would be able to do so, which is within your right, but you did agree that that would pose a potential conflict of interest. And I think you did say that you would recuse yourself. And I believe there's other individuals in the room that also would corroborate what you had said at that moment in the meeting. And, you know, lastly, if we're talking about Neola policies, the current Neola policy 144.3 that discusses conflict of interest, there is a part that does state, when a member of the board determines the possibility of such personal or financial interest exists, the board should, prior to the matter being considered, disclose their interest, which you have, and it's appreciated, and thereafter abstain from participating in both the discussion of the matter and vote thereon. So I just think that, you know, it would be wise to err on caution to recuse yourself from the discussion and the vote, because, you know, my philosophy is just because you can doesn't mean you should.